Hey, what's up YouTube? You're watching Ready Set Drone, and today I want to take you through the main differences between the DJI Avata and the DJI Mini 3 Pro, and a lot of these also apply to the new Mini 3, the non-Pro version. So if you're thinking about getting one of these two drones, hopefully this video will be helpful, so stay tuned. So first of all, I want to start by saying thank you for watching. If you aren't already a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button for more drone content. And second of all, I want to say that this video is really made for people who are just getting into drones. If you already know a lot about drones, then this probably will be stuff that you already know, although there might be a few things that you don't. But we're going to go through it as if the person deciding to buy these has never owned a drone before, or maybe just a toy drone. So let's start with the Mini 3 Pro. I will say that a lot of the things I'm going to say about it also apply to the Mini 3, the less expensive version of this one. So the Mini 3 Pro is under 250 grams. And if you're new to drones, you should know that if your drone weighs more than 250 grams, even if you're flying recreationally, you have to register it with the FAA. That doesn't apply to this one because it's under 250 grams if you're using the regular battery. There is an extended life battery for this that gives it more flight time. If you put that in, it puts it over the 250 gram mark. But just keep in mind that with the regular batteries, it is under 250 grams, so you don't have to register it if you're flying it recreationally. Whereas with the Avata, you would have to register it because it is over 250 grams, and you'd want to make sure to register it and put a sticker on it. The other reason I like this quad is because it works with a variety of DJI remote controls. It'll work with the standard remote control that comes with it in the lowest price package. It will work with the DJI RC, which has a screen built into it, and then it'll work with the DJI RC Pro, which has a screen built into it and a brighter screen, lots of extra features in it. And what's really nice is I have this, I have the Air 2S, and I have the Mavic 3, and all three of them work with one remote control. And so I don't have to change remotes. As a matter of fact, when I turn it on, I just pick the drone I want to fly, it pairs to it, and I'm good to go. So that's a big advantage, I think, is if you own other drones or you want to use a drone with a built-in screen, this works with it, this does not. Another thing that's unique about the DJI Mini 3 Pro is that you can shoot native vertical video. So the camera actually switches between horizontal and vertical if you want to shoot something for TikTok or YouTube Shorts or Instagram or whatever, and you want to do it in the vertical format, you can do it using this drone, and you're not clipping the sides. You're actually natively shooting with the full sensor, so you get a really nice big picture, but it's vertical because the camera actually flips on its side. As I said before, this one does have obstacle avoidance. The Mini 3 Pro has obstacle avoidance where the Avata does not. And this thing is so quiet and unobtrusive. If you want to fly somewhere where there's people around, this is a really good choice because it is so much quieter than the Avata. Another advantage of the Mini 3 Pro and the Mini 3 is flight time. Even with the standard batteries, the flight time is longer than the Avata. When you're working with any of the DJI camera drones and not the FPVs, you do get a lot of built-in automated flight modes, like orbiting around somebody or following somebody or doing a droney or a rocket. All of those things are built into the Mini 3 Pro into the app, and you just basically set up the shot, push a button, and it does that for you very precisely. And the footage from it looks very smooth and very amazing versus trying to do it on your own through your own skills. The Avata does not have any of that built in. You can do some cinematic stuff with the Avata. You could do like an orbit, you could do a droney, but you're gonna have to do it by hand, and you're gonna have to do it very smoothly, and you probably won't be able to do it as smoothly as the computer can do it, unless you're a really good experienced pilot. And speaking of flying smoothly, the Mini 3 Pro is a beast in the wind. Despite its lightweight and small size, it can take very, very strong wind and do really amazing smooth flights in that wind. Even if the drone is shaking around in the wind, the footage still looks really stable. The footage from the Avata looks pretty good in wind, and if you're in normal mode, the stabilized mode on this, you can get some decent looking footage. However, it's relying 100% on electronic image stabilization, whereas the Mini 3 has an actual gimbal to stabilize the footage inside the drone as it's shooting. So if you're using the Avata and you want to get stable, smooth footage, It can do that mostly if it's moving forward, but if it's just hovering or moving sideways, the wind can really push it around and the footage doesn't look nearly as stable. We flew both of these just earlier today, and it's pretty windy today, and the Mini 3 did much better flying smooth in the wind than the Avata did. Even trying to come in and land on the landing pad, the Avata was having to kind of fight, and it was hard to get it right onto the landing pad, whereas with the Mini 3, we were able to put it in the center pretty much every time, despite the wind, because it is so stable and easy to fly in the wind. Another advantage for the Mini 3 is the better camera. It has a bigger sensor and it's gonna collect more data onto the camera, and so you're gonna get better looking footage. And not to mention, the Mini 3's camera can flip vertically and back to horizontal. And finally, really, you can't take photos with the Avata. You can take photos, but with this thing, you're pretty much always moving forward if you're flying it the way a cinewhoop is supposed to be flown. So this is kind of video only, whereas photos with the Mini 3 are very easy to do because you can place it, let it hover, take a great photo. You can do the same thing with the Avata, but it's not really designed for photos as much as the Mini 3 is. So if you're taking photos primarily, this is gonna be your go-to. If you're doing video, then either of them would work. So those are the advantages I see with the Mini 3. Now let's talk about the advantages with the Avata. There aren't as many, but they are pretty important. First of all, it's the ducted props. That's kind of an advantage and a disadvantage. It's part of what makes the thing so loud. It's part of what makes the thing a little bit heavier, but they are really good to have if you're trying to fly around people, animals, anything you don't want to bump into, the inside of a building, and you don't want to crash into the walls, or if you do, you don't want to leave a scuff mark. Also, that ability to bump into things and keep flying is really good, and these do give you that if you don't hit too hard. The ducted props are an advantage that I would say the Avata has because it is more versatile in terms of using it indoors and around people. Another thing that you could say is an advantage for the Avata is it works with the motion controller. Some people would say it's an advantage, some people would say it isn't. I think if you did have a reason to fly with the motion controller, maybe just because you wanted something really simple that you could do with one hand, maybe you've got a reason you have to use a motion controller and it doesn't work for you dexterity-wise to use thumbs or to pinch like some people do on the regular remote control, then that motion controller is an option. It takes a minute to kind of figure it out, but once you do, it's pretty intuitive as far as how you make the thing yaw, etc. with it. But the Mini 3 Pro and the Mini 3 don't work with the motion controller. So if you want to use the motion controller, you're limited in your options, but the Avata will work with it. So one other advantage to the Avata is great for FPV and can sort of do cinematic stuff. You can do some nice things on a calm day with the electronic stabilization that goes on with the footage and get some nice footage. You can't really do FPV at all with the Mini 3 or the Mini 3 Pro. They're not designed for that. If you have obstacle avoidance on, it's not gonna go through gaps. If you turn it off and you hit something, you're not gonna bounce off, it's gonna crash. And so really, this is the more versatile of the two. It's not great at cinematic shots, but it can do them to some degree, whereas this can't do FPV at all. If you want to put the goggles on and have that flight experience of flying through gaps, doing flips, doing rolls, learning how to fly in manual mode, and just having fun with it, this is a great little quad for all that. Although I will say, keep in mind that the Avata is not a freestyle quad. It's not designed to be flown super fast and dive from high altitudes down to the ground. It doesn't have a lot of power, quite honestly, for as much weight as it has. It is a cinewhoop. So while you can do some flips and rolls, and you can definitely go through some gaps, you're not gonna be able to do the kind of crazy freestyle flying that you see some people doing. That's a bigger, usually a 5-inch freestyle quad with bigger motors and more power, a 6S battery that gives it a lot more power. Honestly, that's not the kind of stuff you're gonna be doing right out of the gate. You're gonna learn how to fly it stably. You're gonna get used to flying in the goggles, maybe even in normal mode. Then you're gonna switch over to sport and fly a little faster. Then you're gonna switch over to manual and learn how to control it and not crash. And once you get to that point, the sky's the limit. You can really do a lot with this thing as far as having fun. Just know you're not gonna rip it like a 5-inch freestyle. So that leads me to the conclusion of this video. And the question is, which one is right for you if you're looking at these two? If you wanna do cinematic stuff and you wanna get really beautiful photos and video, both horizontally and vertically, if you want something that is low profile and very quiet and sub 250 grams and doesn't have to be registered for recreational flyers and is easy to carry with you, the Mini 3 Pro is a great way to go, and maybe the Mini 3 as well with some of the features that this doesn't have, but a lot of the same characteristics. If, however, you want to do FPV flying at all, then the Avata is the way to go. The Avata is a great starting point for FPV. You don't have to build anything, you just bind it, fly it, and then get into flying manually and advance from there. And then at that point, if you want to build your own 5-inch freestyle quad or a racing quad or whatever, you can get into doing that. But this is a great place to start for FPV. And this can do some cinematic stuff. I'm not saying it's impossible, it just doesn't do it as well as this. So cinema, photography, vertical, low profile, quiet is the Mini 3 Pro, and FPV, louder, a little bit of freestyle, some flips and stuff like that, nothing crazy, and a little bit of cinematic footage is the Avata. I think the prices are pretty similar on these two, so that not being a factor, the two of these are very distinctly different, yet have a lot of the same characteristics as far as their quality and their ease of use for a first-time drone flyer. So hopefully this was helpful in helping you decide between the Avata and the Mini 3 Pro, or even the standard Mini 3. Leave a comment below and let me know what you think. Love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Ready, Set, Drone.